All right, hey there folks. Lately I've had a number of questions about what I use for Jackson with camping and especially on those cold nights and how I kept him warm during the night. So first off, there's a couple of ways that you can sleep with them. In the very beginning, we had Jackson in this lovely baby box. It comes with a mattress in it and it has a nice lid so that you can travel with it and store what you need inside it, which is pretty awesome. Once he got a little bit older, we actually had him share a sleeping bag with me, so we'll see what we do this summer, as he doesn't like to be sharing a sleeping bag with me quite as often anymore. He likes to move around now. But for those of you that have a little one that might fit in one of these boxes, this is a really great option for you to use. So I'm just going to open it up and go over some of the different types of clothing that we used with him, just to keep him warm on some of those colder nights and maybe even some of those less cold nights. So here we go. I'm opening it up. All right, so as you can see, I have in this box just kind of everything packed away nicely. First off, you can see right dead center there, I have some little wool booties. They're really great. They keep his feet warm, and you can actually get a size bigger than what you think they'd need, and they would grow into them. So we had one set that we used almost the entire summer last year, and it was really great. So I'm going to pull these out here. Next, I have a blanket. I know not everyone is a fan of having a blanket with them, but when Jackson was real little and not rolling around, this was really great because it has a nice little hood, so we could have that near his head if needed, and it was nice and warm and just filled a lot of void space around him to keep him warm. So if you feel comfortable using a blanket around them, go ahead, do it. That's what we did with Jay. All right, next I have a nice hat. Make sure you have a really good hat for them. This one is one of our warmer hats, but as the summer gets warmer, you might not need one quite as warm. So just kind of gauge it off of the temperature and how your little one sleeps, okay? All right. So now we're digging into the sleep sack, okay? So depending on how cold it is, it'll depend on the warmth of your sleep sack. For many times, most of the time here in Canada, I probably could use 1 tog to 2.5 tog, especially if I'm camping in the mountains here. So this one here is a 2.5 tog. If I open it up here, I have a whole whack load of clothing. Okay, so first thing first is I always use a pair of socks on his feet. Have a pair that's nice and thick and warm. It'll be an extra warmth layer. Once you put those booties on, then their feet will stay nice and toasty. All right, next I have, so you'll see here, I have some pants and a sweater. I only really use the pants and sweater if it was really cold. So this would be kind of my last layer. So I kind of have a 3-layer system, I guess 4 with the sleep sack, but for clothing, a 3-layer system. So a nice synthetic fuzzy pant and top works really great to keep them warm. You can pick and choose what you want, just make sure it's not cotton, okay? So anything that they're sleeping in, for the most part, you want to try and keep cotton away from it, as if cotton gets wet, so say they spit up or they pee during the night, they're gonna stay cold there, okay? All right, so here we have the pants and the sweater, sorry. Next, we have another pair of socks here. Okay, it doesn't have to be a pair of socks, but that's what we used with Jay as he was just a little one, because that's what we had. You can get some mitts, but basically you're gonna put these on their hands, okay? If their hands get super cold, then there's my little puppy. She likes to keep an eye on Jay as he's sleeping. She actually even sleeps with us in the tent. All right, back to our socks here. Put something on their hands. That was the thing that we had the most trouble with when he was real little, is keeping his hands warm. Okay, wasn't a huge issue. They did get a little colder first time. It was pretty cold evening, but if you put some socks on, or even some nice mitts, as it's coming after winter here, you might actually have some nice mitts that you can put on. Basically have their hands covered, okay? If your sleep outfit has some nice thick hand coverings, then you're great there, okay? All right, next I have my base layer, okay? I love this base layer. It's called a Wee Woolly. That's the brand that makes it. It's really thin and warm. And the nice thing about wool is that it actually regulates their body temperature. So whether they're cold or warm, it's going to regulate that so that they can stay at a good temperature. This was the main thing that Jay slept in. Whether it's cold or warm, this was what we had him in. If it was cold out, then we would add on top of that, okay? So moving on to our next layer, we have another warm fleece sleeper here. This one is nice and thick again. It doesn't have a hood, but it could have a hood if you wanted it to. And this we would stick over top of that base layer if it was cold. So once again, if we needed to, I would do that base layer, so the Wee Woolies. Then I would do this one that I'm showing you right now. And then if it was still cold and I was concerned about him, I would stick those pants and sweater on, okay? Great. On to the next. So once all that's done, wrap them up in their sleep sack and they're good to go. Yeah, if you were really concerned or if it was super cold out, I have this really neat, sweet, it's like a micro fleece neck warmer here. Now, I don't know if I would put it on while they're sleeping, but while they're camping or you're out and about on hikes and stuff, this is a really great option just to kind of keep their face a little bit warmer if it's kind of cold out there. Cool. All right, so once again, we're back to my sleep sack here. I have a couple different options for sleep sacks. So once again, this one was our nice warm one. It was a 2.5 tog grow bag, and this is kind of my go-to, especially all winter long or those colder spring and fall camping trips. But underneath it, I have a couple different options, and if you have room for it, I'd recommend taking different options with you or doubles of options with you, because you never know if they're gonna pee during the night, get their stuff wet, and then you have more warmth, more warm items to keep to put them in once you need to change them. All right, so underneath here I have two different thicknesses. Now this one here is a flannel homemade sleep sack here. It's super thin. It's something that really isn't going to keep them super warm, but it's a nice thin layer to keep them kind of contained if it's a nice hot day. Along with that here, I have your one piece, okay? This is something I guess you could stick under them, under any of their clothes if you want, but if it's super warm or if they're sharing a sleeping bag with you, this is kind of our go-to for what we used with Jay as he was sleeping with us. They're gonna sweat, you're gonna sweat, you don't want to overheat them, so it's better to not overdress them. Now, every kid's different, so you might need a bit more than this depending on the temperature or depending on your sleeping bag warmth. Mine is a down sleeping bag, and often I used, I think it was a -15, and if it's a really cold trip, I have one that goes all the way up to -30 Fahrenheit. Okay, so there's this option. All right, back to our sleep sack. So this one, once again, just if it's nice and warm out, okay? Underneath here, I have a wonderful homemade baby down sleeping bag. This is my all-time favorite for camping. Jay has loved this ever since I made it, and he probably used it since he was 3 months old at times. I made it so it's nice and long. Underneath it, it's folded, got another good chunk of it, so he can actually grow into it. This should fit him until he's like 3, I'm estimating, just based off of his size, maybe even longer. I made it so that there's double set of snaps on the shoulders, so right now it's on the lowest setting, but it can grow as he grows. And once again, this is something if he's not in a sleeping bag with you. This is something, so this winter, or not winter, sorry, this spring and summer and fall, this is kind of my go-to for those cold nights. The other sleep sack is great, but this is going to be the warmest, especially now that he's not peeing as much at night. I don't have to worry about it getting wet, because once again, if down gets wet, it's not going to hold that warmth in there anymore, okay? So underneath this, you see the mattress. This mattress is awesome. I loved this box once again. If you have one, I highly recommend taking it. If you don't, a playpen is a great option as well. Just make sure you stuff something underneath that playpen to keep those void air pockets full. So that way your little one isn't having to warm up those pockets of air. Awesome. So that's kind of a little video of what I would take for camping for my little guy and to keep him warm at night. If you have any questions, just send me a message or ask on this video here, okay? We'll talk to you later. All right, see you guys. Bye.